Okay, this video shows what's new in Spire version 2.6. So online in the manual, the heading at the top you'll see under the introduction is what's new in 2.6, and we're going to go through each of these one at a time to show how they work. So to start with, we're going to look at unlimited number of payment methods. So the payment method dialog is moved under Edit, Payment Methods, and in here you'll see that I've got several payment methods set up, and you can set up really as many as you need to. There's a couple of things you need to know in here. So if you look at, say, for instance, the cash one, it is set as type called cash. That one's important because any that are set as type cash can potentially have the payment method rounded to the nearest nickel, nearest 5 cents. Okay, and we'll look at that setup shortly. Okay, the sequence is how it shows up on the list. So being number one, cash is going to be the first one on the list presented when they pay an invoice. The keyboard shortcut, typically you'd put a C for cash in here, and an A for American Express, and M for MasterCard. That way you don't have to reach for your mouse to choose the payment method. Okay, and then you can choose to turn off the display of a payment method if you're no longer using it or temporarily suspended. And then you also have an icon you can choose. So we have a few icons there to choose from for what the button looks like. And then, of course, the general ledger account of where it gets posted. Okay, so we're no longer limited to the 7 payment methods that we had previously. So the next thing we'll look at is what we talked about briefly there was the rounding. So under Edit, Company Settings, Sales Orders. This pertains to point of sale as well. Down at the bottom here it says penny rounding. You can enable it and then choose a variance account. So the plus or minus pennies that get rounded need to go somewhere into GL. So I've got one down at the bottom along with the gain loss of currency to choose there, and that's where they'll get posted. Save that. Okay, so now we'll just look at a transaction, and it's going to be in sales or point of sale. We'll just show it in point of sale. So we'll just put an item on here. Okay, $117.60. Let's just change that price so it has some rounding going on. So we'll get a unit price of 99.55. Yeah, that's not very good. Still not going to round. 99.58. Okay, so we're at $117.13. So we're going to hit the F5 for tender. And there's our icons that we chose for some of them. So cash. So now we've got $117.13. So we're going to put in 120. And then you see that the payment amount got rounded to up to $117.15. Okay, and then we put in our tendered amount and we click OK, and it prints off our invoice or our point of sale ticket. Okay, so still in the cash payment routine, we're under sales and cash out reports. And in here, you'll see we've got some saved there. You can keep them. And we're going to go into the one that I had worked on here. And you'll see here that I've filled out and counted all my coins, and I've counted all my bills, and it's total up to $879 in bills, $18.98 in coins, and then I cashed out my credit card machine, keyed in the amounts from my cash out, and then at this point I want to know if I'm balanced to my actual sales and their payments, so I hit the print button. And in this case, I'll move that over from my other monitor, I got 2 reports. Typically I'd print the cash balance one first, and I'll just print them both. But if I preview the cash balance report, it says here I'm balanced. Okay, so my amount of my sales that I made through my system and I marked them paid match up to what I keyed in from my machine on my count of my denomination of bills and coins. If I was out of balance, I would like to know more details so I can go through and check them off. So that's where the cash balance details report. First section is similar, and next it shows each of the payments that went through. I can go through all my slips and check to make sure I didn't make any errors, and then basically turn that into accounting so that that can all be bounced off. Okay, so now the next feature we have is in inventory. If we look at, if we go down and look at an item that has stock in all my warehouses, so here's an item here, an INTTK200, that's in all three of my warehouses, and you'll see I've got 16, 0, and 12. So if I was in a sales order now, and I'll just go to an existing one, INTTK 200. I got it on my order now, and I've got a button here that says show stock. So if I hit that, you'll see that I can check my stock in all my warehouses. So there's my 3 warehouses. We can't edit anything here. It's just showing us what stock is elsewhere, if they're committed, available, back order, or on order with supplier. So it's just a really quick, easy way of, if you don't have stock in one warehouse, to tell customer where it is elsewhere. Which leads me to the next new feature, is the open inventory button right here in the sales order. And if I highlight the INTTK 200 and hit open inventory, then it actually opens it up into my edit and viewing of my inventory. From here I can look at sales that I've got going on, purchases, vendor pricing, statistics, all that information about without leaving the sales order to see that. Okay, so we've got that. And then in POS, we have under point of sale, if we put an INTTK 200 here, INTTK 200, and we go into the item here, we also have the feature for show stock here, so I can check other warehouses quickly to see if they have stock on an item. Okay, and in sales, this is for our service manager. So if I go under a work order and I look at service info, you see I've got a unit number and I've got an asset tag number here. And these can be called whatever you want to. Some people call them license plate number and unit number. Okay, so if I close that, you'll see now that on the order list, it's got the unit number and the asset tag number, and it's using our user-defined field technology, although it puts these on there automatically. Those don't have to be created in the user-defined fields to be able to do that. We're just using the same technology from that. Okay, so next we've got a inventory part number here. In lot numbers, if we highlight a lot number, see this lot number here shows availability, cost, and so on, expiration date. And then in the bottom here, we highlight, this shows each time that this lot number was acted on. So receiving them, selling them, consuming them in production, whatever it happens to be. And then from there, I can hit the trace button. So if I want to trace this particular lot number, I hit the trace, and it opens up each transaction. So let's go down to this top one here and hit trace. And I've got 4 transactions that happen with this particular lot number. And then if I want to look at, say, what happened with production, if I consumed them there, I can hit open related, and it opens up the production history of where that lot number got consumed. So if I bring that down, we should see that right there. Lot number 23455 is -6 of those items, same as what it shows in here, -6. So full traceability of the lot number by just drilling down into the documents that made those items be received or consumed or sold. Okay, so a couple of items that are not really demonstratable, but converted data from your old system with AR and AP. Some of those transactions were very difficult to link together properly, so to get backdated historical reports was difficult. But it's been reworked, and now you should be able to run backdated accounts receivable, accounts payable from previous to running Spire, so even with converted data. All right, so the next one, in payables and receivables, we'll just show it in receivables. If I go to a customer, in the past we showed the last 2 years worth of data, so we converted it all, but showing 2 years worth of the data. But we had some users say they really wanted to see older data as well. So we, instead of always showing everything, we now have a tri-state button here, show open, so that's just the ones unpaid. Show all since last fiscal, so this means in your general ledger you got last year, this year, next year transactions, so this is just showing the last couple of years worth. And then show all will show everything from day one, whether you've converted data from the 1990s onward. Now, if it's got tens of, or many, or I'm not sure the exact number, but large amount of data, some of that can refresh a little bit slowly, which is why we put the all button on its own. So that way, if you really need to go back to look at very old data, you can do so. Okay. One thing while we're in here, we've added a reports tab here from which parameters can be passed through to reports. So not all reports run from a list, so sometimes you need to run them from inside here, so that's been added as well. And we added the customer chooser to this, so you can choose a single customer if you wish. And lastly, in inventory, we did some rearrangement of some of the screens. So we had a lot of tabs that went back along the top here at the past, so we had to stretch that a long ways out to see them all. So what we did now is we combined some of them. So under sales, we now have orders, items. So there's the items where they're in open orders, and then there's invoice. So I got a filter set there. So there's the ones that have been posted in the past already. Okay, same as purchasing, we've got purchase orders. These are the POs that have not yet been closed, and historical shows them here. So by combining them together, we saved quite a bit of room on there. Other than that, we did a few more changes. We put the image on the front screen here. That way, it's very handy. So if when you are in the sales module and you need to see a picture of something, then if you go into the sales order and you highlight the item, that button we looked at earlier, by hitting open inventory, you're seeing the picture of the item right on the front screen. So it's very helpful if you're at the counter and just want to double check that you've got the right item. Okay, that's it for what's new in 2.6. I hope you enjoy these new features, and please give us your feedback as you try them out.